All right. So um, let's dive into something I think we all maybe kind of dread, right?
Huh.
Performance reviews.
Ah,
But more specifically, we're going to be talking about that bell curve system
right.
and really asking ourselves if it's time to, like, rethink its place in how we manage performance.
Well, it is interesting because the bell curve is something that we're all pretty familiar with,
Right.
but I think it is being questioned more and more,
Yeah.
especially when we're applying it to today's workforce.
For this deep dive, we're going to be looking at a great article on LinkedIn by Sylvia Ola titled The Dreaded Bell Curve.
Mm.
And Ola really makes a strong argument against using this system,
Mm.
especially, when you have teams that are consistently exceeding expectations.
Yeah, and her central argument is that if you try to force everyone into this bell curve structure, it can actually backfire.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is it can reward average performance
Mm-hmm.
and can even penalize high-performing teams.
So even if everyone is like crushing it, someone still needs to, get a lower rating
Exactly.
just to fit the curves.
Exactly.
That seems a little counterproductive.
Yeah, and she gives a great example of this in her article.
Okay.
A hotel concierge team that had a 94% above expectations rating.
Wow.
And even Ola herself, admits to being a little skeptical at first
Yeah.
because the whole concept of the bell curve is just so ingrained, right?
Right.
We've been kind of conditioned to think about performance this way.
Totally. It highlights how we think about performance in this very specific way,
Yeah.
even when, the reality might be totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. But the chief concierge, he had confidence in his team's performance.
Yeah.
And he was ready to defend them because he knew they were all truly excellent.
Yeah.
And that actually underscores another really important point here,
Okay.
which is that the quality of leadership can really influence how we measure and perceive performance.
So are you saying that a really great, effective leader, they could end up breaking the bell curve,
Yeah.
but in, like, a good way,
Yeah, in a good way.
by building that culture of high performance?
Exactly. Ola makes the case that leaders who invest in their teams, they provide clear expectations, they coach them, they support them.
Yeah.
This naturally leads to consistent high performance, across the board.
It seems pretty intuitive to me that, good leadership, competent leadership is going to impact positively the team performance.
Right.
But it is interesting to think about how that actually works out in the context of this bell curve.
Yeah, and it challenges that traditional assumption that performance always fits neatly, along that bell curve.
Right.
She actually points out that if you are forcing a team to fit into that model, you are inherently driving and valuing mediocrity.
It's like you're almost setting a limit for what people can achieve.
Exactly.
Because, like, if everyone is striving to be above average,
Yeah.
then it's like you don't want to be too exceptional.
Right. It discourages people from really excelling
Yeah.
for fear of upsetting that balance.
Yeah.
And that raises an interesting question.
Okay.
Why are so many organizations still clinging to this model?
Is it just because it's what they've always done?
Could be.
Or are there, other things at play here?
Well, Ola suggests that that cost cutting is a big driver.
Okay.
And she points to, some leaked documents
Interesting.
from big companies like Microsoft and Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
that basically instructed managers to lower performance ratings as a way to, keep costs down.
Wait, so instead of rewarding great performance, companies are basically manipulating the system
Uh-huh.
to save money.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
It brings up some ethical questions for sure.
Yeah.
Because if you're enforcing a bell curve, you can limit how many people are eligible for things like bonuses and raises.
That seems incredibly short-sighted.
Yeah.
Like, if you are constantly telling people they can't all be high performers, it's got to be like you're missing out on all this potential
Right.
for growth and innovation.
It creates a culture of scarcity
Right.
rather than one of, abundance.
Yeah.
And in today's world, things change so fast.
Right.
Organizations need to be encouraging a growth mindset, not limiting their employees.
That makes a lot of sense. It really does. And it makes you wonder if, are the companies that are ditching this bell curve, are they seeing positive results?
It does seem like there is a growing trend
Yeah.
towards these more flexible and individualized systems
Right.
for performance management.
Yeah.
Ola actually highlights a company, the Strengths Company, that specializes in redesigning these systems.
Okay.
She even links to their site in the article.
Oh, cool. So there are resources out there
Yeah.
for companies that want to, make a change.
Right.
That's good.
Mm.
But, what if you're kind of stuck in a system that still uses that bell curve?
Mm.
How do you navigate that, navigate for yourself
Yeah.
and your team?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that I think we should explore further. And
Yeah.
what's particularly interesting about all of this is that it almost feels like even if you have like a team full of rock stars, someone's success has to come at the expense of someone else.
Right. Like it's almost built in.
Yeah, it's like the zero-sum game, even when, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. And, if you have a leader that's really doing their job well and fostering that environment of excellence, isn't that bell curve going to be kind of skewed anyway?
Yeah, it really challenges those assumptions, behind that whole bell curve model.
Right.
Ola points out that in companies with great leadership, the bell curve naturally skews toward high performance
Okay.
because the culture supports it
Makes sense.
and rewards it.
This really resonates with me because I've definitely seen how, a positive, supportive environment can really bring out the best in people.
Right.
And if everyone feels valued and empowered, it just kind of lifts the whole team up.
Yeah.
Right.
It really speaks to that idea that performance isn't just about individual talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's also about, the environment,
Yeah.
the culture that
Yeah.
surrounds that individual.
Absolutely.
And Ola, she emphasizes that if you aim for your team to fit into the bell curve, you're basically driving and valuing mediocrity.
So if you're a leader and you really want your team to thrive,
Yeah.
maybe the first step is to ask yourself, is this even the right tool to measure performance?
Yeah, it's definitely worth considering.
No,
In her article, she actually shares a link to some research
Oh, interesting.
by McKinsey and Company.
Okay.
And they found that traditional performance reviews often fail to motivate employees
Really?
or improve performance.
That's, kind of not surprising, I guess. But
Yeah.
it seems like holding on to these old systems could be a major disadvantage,
Yeah.
especially now.
It can create that sense of stagnation.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about, it can even be used as a way to limit compensation
Right.
for employees.
That just sounds like, asking for people to be unhappy at work.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Ola argues that we need to move beyond these limiting frameworks
Yeah.
and embrace performance management systems that are, more aligned with fostering growth.
Right. Recognizing individual contributions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to force everyone into a box, we should
Yeah.
be trying to help them, grow.
Exactly.
their way.
And this actually leads us back to the Strengths Company, that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Ola mentions them in the article. They help organizations shift their mindset
Okay.
and create performance management systems that are more individualized and focused on development.
It's good to know there are companies out there really trying to change how we approach all of this.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I think this brings us to a key takeaway from this whole deep dive.
Okay.
The traditional bell curve model,
Yeah.
it might be outdated
Okay.
and potentially harmful, holding back individuals and organizations.
So what are some other ways we can, measure performance
Yeah.
that recognize those individual contributions while still building a culture of excellence?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that deserves careful consideration.
Oh.
There's no, one-size-fits-all
Right.
solution.
Yeah.
But there are some promising approaches out there. It seems like we need to move away from this idea of ranking employees and comparing them to each other
Yeah.
and focus more on creating a culture of continuous learning and development.
Yeah. And Ola's article really emphasizes that if you want a high-performing team, you got to invest in their growth.
Yeah. It's not just their evaluation, right?
Exactly.
Like that saying, what gets measured gets managed.
Right.
If we're always measuring people against each other, then, well, that's what we're going to get.
Exactly.
More competition, less collaboration.
And that's where those alternative approaches come in, right?
Right.
Ola actually gives a link to an article. It's from the Harvard Business Review,
Yeah.
and it talks about using performance previews.
Okay, performance previews. What's that?
It's a more forward-looking approach
Okay.
that focuses on setting goals and planning for development.
So instead of focusing on what's already happened, it's more about What are your goals?
Right.
And how can we help you reach them?
Exactly.
That sounds a lot better.
Yeah, and it's about shifting the focus from judgment to growth,
Hmm.
which aligns with what Ola is saying. We got to move beyond just putting people into a bell curve,
Yeah.
and we should be recognizing and celebrating their unique strengths.
Right, what they bring to the table.
Exactly. So to kind of wrap things up here, I think the big takeaway from our deep dive into Sylvia Ola's article is that this whole bell curve model,
Mm-hmm.
it might actually be holding us back,
Yeah,
both individually and as organizations.
definitely. It's time to question those old assumptions
Mm-hmm.
and explore new approaches that, build a culture of excellence,
Yeah.
recognize individual contributions, and help people grow.
If you're ready to, ditch the bell curve, be sure to check out the resources Ola links to in her article,
Yeah, definitely check those out.
like the Strengths Company
Mm-hmm.
and those articles from McKinsey and the Harvard Business Review.
Yeah, good stuff.
We'll be sure to include those links in the show notes for you.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We hope you found it insightful
Yeah, thanks for listening.
and maybe even, a little inspiring. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.